A young billionaire is approached by twin sisters who beg, "Please, sir, buy this necklace. We need to buy medicine for our mother." When he sees the necklace, he is shocked. The rain battered the streets of Manhattan on that October night. Daniel Reynolds watched the city through the window of his penthouse office at Reynolds Tower, one of the most imposing skyscrapers in the area. At 32, he had turned his family inheritance into an even bigger tech empire, but success did not fill the emptiness he had been carrying for years. The reflection in the glass showed a man most people envied: striking features, dark hair meticulously styled, an Italian suit custom-made. Forbes magazine had placed him on the cover the previous month as one of the 30 most influential entrepreneurs under 40. But his green eyes, inherited from his late mother, held a melancholy that no bank account could erase. His phone vibrated for the third time in 5 minutes. More messages about the billion-dollar merger he was about to finalize. Reynolds Tech was expanding into the Asian market, a move that promised to triple the company's value. Daniel adjusted his tie and checked the time, 7:45 p.m. The dinner with the Japanese investors was scheduled for 8:30 p.m. at Le Bernardin. Against his usual habit, he decided to dismiss his driver and walk to the restaurant. He needed to clear his mind, and something in the cold night air called him to the streets. He grabbed his black overcoat and took the private elevator down. The light drizzle created an ethereal shine in the city lights. Daniel raised the collar of his coat slightly, shielding himself from the biting wind blowing between the buildings. His footsteps echoed on the sidewalk as his mind wandered between financial spreadsheets and market strategies. That's when a sudden movement caught his attention. Two small figures were moving near the entrance of a pharmacy about half a block ahead. He slowed his pace, intrigued. They were two girls, completely identical, no more than 5 years old. Their coats, too thin for such a cold night, failed to hide the trembling of their small bodies. Instinct made Daniel stop. What were two such small children doing alone at that hour? He looked around, searching for a responsible adult, but the street was practically deserted due to the rain. "Are you lost?" he asked, approaching carefully so as not to scare them. The twins looked at each other as if talking in silence. They had large, expressive eyes, framed by brown curls escaping from their faded beanies. The one holding a small bundle in her hands took a step forward, while the other stayed slightly behind, protective. Could you buy this?" The voice was almost a whisper, trembling as much as her tiny hands extending a package wrapped in a worn-out blue scarf. Daniel knelt to their eye level, ignoring the moisture beginning to seep into his Italian suit. Up close, he could see the freckles dotting both of their noses, and how their lips were slightly purple from the cold. "Why are you trying to sell something so late at night?" The girl who stayed behind answered, her voice carrying an urgency that broke Daniel's heart. "Our mom needs medicine. She's really sick, but we don't have enough money." "We're Emma and Olivia," continued the first, her fingers carefully unwrapping the scarf. "This necklace is special. Mom said it's worth a lot." Time seemed to freeze when the object was revealed. Daniel's heart skipped a beat, then pounded in his chest. His fingers, normally steady even during the most intense negotiations, trembled as he touched the crescent moon-shaped pendant. It was a masterful piece of craftsmanship. Small, aged silver stars danced around the moon, and a single midnight blue sapphire rested at its center, capturing and reflecting the city lights. But it wasn't the details that made Daniel's blood run cold. It was the tiny, almost imperceptible marking on the side of the pendant, a signature he knew all too well. Where did you get this?" His voice came out hoarse, almost strangled. "It was our mom's. She always wore it," Emma corrected, tears beginning to form in her eyes. "But now she needs medicine more than the necklace." Daniel held the object with reverence, his mind a storm of questions and possibilities. That necklace. How many nights had he spent looking for the right artisan, choosing the perfect stone, planning every detail? Destiny had a peculiar sense of humor, bringing that piece back into his life right now, through the hands of two desperate children. "Where is your mother?" he asked gently, trying to contain the urgency in his voice. The girls looked at each other again, distrust obvious on their young faces. Olivia squeezed her sister's hand. "We can't tell strangers. Emma answered, her voice small but firm. "We just want to sell the necklace to buy the medicine." Daniel took a deep breath, forcing himself to think clearly. These girls needed help, and he needed answers. But first, he had to earn their trust. "I understand your concern," he said, keeping his voice gentle. "Here's what we'll do. I'll buy the necklace and pay much more than you need for the medicine, but I'd really like to help your mother, too." "Why?" Olivia asked, her eyes narrowing with a distrust beyond her age. "Why do you want to help?" Daniel looked at the necklace again in his hands, feeling the weight of the memories it carried. How could he explain to two children something he didn't fully understand himself? Because this necklace, it has a very special story, and if it belongs to your mother, then she is also very special. He paused, choosing his words carefully. Sometimes life gives us a second chance to do the right thing. I think this is one of those moments. The twins once again consulted each other silently, a mute dialogue that seemed common between them. Finally, Emma held out her little hand to Daniel. "Mom is really sick," she said, her voice trembling. "Do you promise you'll help?" Daniel nodded solemnly, feeling the weight of that promise. "Yes, I promise." As he followed the twins through the rainy Manhattan night, his dinner with the investors all but forgotten, Daniel tried to calm the whirlwind of emotions inside his chest. The necklace in his pocket seemed to burn, a physical reminder of a past he thought he had left behind. The drizzle kept falling, but Daniel barely felt it. His world had changed the moment he saw that moon-shaped pendant, and as he watched the two little figures ahead, guiding him through the wet streets, he was certain his life was about to change completely. While he followed the twins through the streets of Manhattan, Daniel felt the weight of the necklace in the pocket of his overcoat. The memories he had tried so hard to keep locked away began to resurface, taking him back 10 years, to the halls of Columbia University. Jennifer Taylor was impossible not to notice, not for the classic beauty she possessed, with her unruly brown curls and honey-colored eyes, but for the contagious energy she radiated. Daniel met her on the first day of their business administration course, when she literally stumbled into him in the library, toppling a stack of economics books onto him. Sorry, she kept repeating, as she clumsily tried to gather up the books. "I think I need glasses, or maybe I just need to learn how to walk and carry books at the same time." Daniel couldn't help but smile as he helped her. That was the start of an unlikely friendship. The reserved heir to Reynolds Industries and the outgoing scholarship student who worked part-time at the campus cafe. The memories flowed now, as vivid as if they had happened yesterday. The long study nights in the library, when Jennifer insisted on bringing in contraband coffee in thermoses, the heated debates on economic theories, where she always presented a perspective he had never considered, the lunches at a small Mexican restaurant off campus, where she convinced him to try spicy food for the first time. "You need to live a little, Danny," she used to say, using the nickname only she was allowed to use. There's a whole world out there beyond the walls of Reynolds Industries. Jennifer was unlike anyone Daniel had ever met. While his other classmates treated him as the Reynolds heir, she treated him simply as Daniel. She never hesitated to disagree with him, to challenge him to think differently, to make him question the truths he took for granted. "You know what your problem is," she once said during one of their discussions about the future of business. "You think too much about numbers and not enough about people. A company isn't just about spreadsheets, Danny. It's about dreams, stories, lives." It was in their junior year of college that Daniel realized his feelings for Jennifer had changed. It wasn't a dramatic epiphany, it was gradual like a sunrise. It was in the small details. How his heart sped up when she smiled, how he looked for her everywhere, how every moment away from her felt wasted. The necklace came up during one of those late-night library conversations. Jennifer was talking about her fascination with astronomy, something she studied in her spare time. "There's something magical about the moon," she said, looking out the library window at the night sky. "It's like it holds all the secrets of the universe." Daniel spent weeks searching for the perfect artisan, someone who could transform that conversation into something tangible. He found an elderly Italian jeweler in Brooklyn, known for his unique pieces. The man worked for 2 months on the project, crafting each detail of the crescent moon pendant, adding the small silver stars, and selecting the perfect sapphire that would evoke the night sky. The night he gave the necklace to Jennifer is forever etched in his memory. It was December 20 and snow was falling softly on the campus. He took her to the rooftop of the astronomy building, her favorite spot. "Danny, it's perfect," she whispered, tears in her eyes as she touched the pendant. "No one has ever given me something so meaningful." That night, they kissed for the first time, under a winter starry sky. The weeks that followed were the happiest Daniel had ever experienced. Jennifer brought color to his monochromatic world, showed him perspectives he'd never considered, made him laugh like no one else could. But the fairy tale didn't last long. Daniel's father fell gravely ill at the start of their last semester. Suddenly, Daniel found himself torn between the hospital and growing responsibilities at the company. Jennifer tried to be there to support him, but Daniel began to shut down. "You don't have to carry the world alone," she would say, but he couldn't listen. The pressure grew every day. The company's board questioned whether he was ready to take over. His family expected him to uphold the Reynolds legacy. Study nights were replaced by endless meetings. Casual lunches gave way to business dinners. Jennifer tried to understand, tried to adapt. But Daniel was changing, becoming more distant, colder. The arguments began, small at first, then more serious. "You're losing yourself, Danny," she said during their last big fight. "You're becoming exactly what you always said you didn't want to be." "You don't understand," he replied, his voice harsh. "I have responsibilities. I can't just live in a dream world like you do." His words hit her like a slap. Jennifer remained silent for a long moment, tears silently running down her face. Then she took off the necklace and placed it on the table. "No, Danny, you're the one who doesn't understand. And when you finally do, it might be too late." That was the last time he saw her. Jennifer didn't attend graduation. Their mutual friends said she had gotten a job in another city, but no one knew exactly where. Daniel threw himself into work, turning Reynolds Industries into an even bigger empire, trying to fill the void she left with professional success. The sound of a cough brought Daniel back to the present. Emma had stopped, looking at him with concern. "Are you okay? You look sad." Daniel forced a smile, adjusting his pace to keep up with the girls. "I'm fine, just thinking." His hand touched the necklace in his pocket again. "Is it far from here?" "No," Olivia replied, pointing to an old building a few blocks ahead. "We live there." Daniel looked at the building, his heart pounding harder. After 10 years, would he finally understand? Was it too late? Apartment 4C in the old building on 86th Street held stories that its worn walls could barely contain. It was a small 480-square-foot refuge that Jennifer Taylor had turned into a home for her twin daughters, Emma and Olivia, over the last 5 years. The modest space housed not only a family, but also dreams, struggles, and a surprising strength that only a mother's love can create. Jennifer discovered she was pregnant 2 weeks after leaving the university, alone in a new city, with no close family, and only some savings from her scholarship. She faced the news of twins with a mixture of fear and determination. Her first impulse was to look for a stable job, but the high-risk pregnancy forced her to adjust her plans. Those were months of uncertainty. On nights when she couldn't sleep, Jennifer devoted herself to learning programming through free online courses. Her fingers glided over the keyboard, while her daughters grew inside her womb, each line of code representing the promise of a better future. Between HTML tutorials and graphic design studies, she built not only a new career, but also a fortress to protect her girls. The twins were born on a spring morning, bringing about a revolution in Jennifer's life. Emma arrived first, her honey-colored eyes identical to her mother's, followed by Olivia 3 minutes later. They were little fighters from the start, overcoming complications of premature birth with the same tenacity their mother showed daily. The first year was the hardest. Jennifer worked as a freelance graphic designer in the hours she could find between feedings and diaper changes. Her old laptop was permanently on the kitchen table, allowing her to switch between caring for the babies and completing projects for clients. Nights were divided between the girls crying and delivery deadlines, strong coffee and determination keeping her awake. Gradually, a routine emerged. Jennifer gained a base of loyal clients who appreciated her meticulous design work. In her spare time, she continued studying programming, adding new skills that allowed her to take on more complex and better-paying projects. Money was never abundant, but she learned to make every cent count. The apartment, though small, was transformed into a space of learning and creativity. The living room served as an office during the day and a study area at night. An improvised bookshelf made of painted crates held textbooks and children's stories, many of them found in used bookstores and garage sales. On the wall, a photo board documented each milestone for the girls: first tooth, first steps, first day of school. Emma and Olivia grew up watching their mother's dedication. From a young age, they learned the value of effort and perseverance. While other children asked for expensive toys, they were content creating their own amusements. They turned cardboard boxes into spaceships, old sheets into explorer tents, and invented stories into epic adventures. At the neighborhood public school, the twins stood out not only for their physical resemblance, but for their sharp intelligence and endless curiosity. Emma, the more dreamy one, spent hours in the library devouring books on science and astronomy. Olivia, practical like the father she never knew, showed a natural talent for numbers and strategy. Jennifer juggled finances to stay afloat. Rent took up most of her income, but she refused to move to a more distant neighborhood. The girls' school was too good to risk losing. Every month was a lesson in financial planning. Essential bills first, then school supplies, always ensuring healthy food, even if simple, and any remainder went into a small emergency fund she tried to maintain. The necklace with the moon pendant was her only indulgence, the only thing she had kept from her college days. Sometimes, on the rare nights when the girls fell asleep early and work was done, Jennifer held it up to the light, letting the memories flow. They weren't tears of regret that streamed down her face, but of gratitude for the two perfect lives that love had given her. The pneumonia started as something seemingly simple, a persistent cough she attributed to the dry winter air, the accumulated fatigue from sleepless nights spent finishing projects. But as the weeks passed, the symptoms worsened. A fever started showing up at night, and tiredness turned into exhaustion. Jennifer tried to hide the severity of her condition from her daughters, but Emma and Olivia were too observant to be fooled. They saw how their mother had to stop to catch her breath between tasks, how her skin grew paler each day, how her coughing fits became more frequent and painful. The most basic medications quickly ate up the emergency fund. With no health insurance and unable to work as intensely, Jennifer saw her reserves vanish within weeks. Projects started to fall behind, some clients walked away, and for the first time in 5 years, she had no idea how she would move forward. It was on one of those feverish nights that Emma and Olivia, scared by their mother's condition, discovered the necklace's value. They heard Jennifer muttering in her feverish sleep about how that piece of jewelry could solve their problems. The girls looked at each other, having one of those silent conversations only twins can have, and made their decision on that cold October night. While Jennifer slept fitfully, her daughters went out on a desperate mission. The moon and star necklace, kept for so many years as a precious memory, now represented their only hope of helping their mother. Emma and Olivia knew they were breaking an important rule: never go out alone, but their love for their mother was greater than any fear of punishment. What they didn't know, as they walked through the wet streets of Manhattan, was that the necklace carried not only monetary value, but also an unfinished love story. A story that was about to gain a new chapter. Daniel couldn't sleep that night. Meeting the twins had awakened not just memories, but also an urgent need to understand what had happened in the past few years. By 4 in the morning, he was already in his office at the top of Reynolds Tower, the moon and star necklace on his desk, while his fingers flew across his computer keyboard. Parte 2, tradução dos parágrafos 81 a 160. The first call was made as soon as the sun rose. Sarah Chen, his personal assistant for 5 years, answered on the first ring, already used to his unusual hour requests. "I need you to verify something with absolute discretion," Daniel instructed, his voice tense. "Search for any records of a Jennifer Taylor in the city. Focus on freelance work in graphic design and programming. She probably has had 2 addresses over the past 5 years, the current one on 86th Street. While Sarah began her search, Daniel contemplated the necklace, each detail evoking memories of college. How had Jennifer managed to remain invisible for so long in a city where he had so many connections? The first pieces of information began arriving that same morning. Sarah was efficient in her research. Jennifer Taylor, 32 years old, works freelance for 3 major design agencies and maintains a private client base for programming projects. I found regular payment records up until 3 months ago, when they started to drop significantly. Sarah continued her report, each detail painting a clearer picture of the situation. The twins, Emma and Olivia Taylor, attend PS 87 William Sherman School. Excellent grades, participation in special programs for gifted students. Several commendations from teachers in their records. They take part in free extracurricular activities, like the school choir and chess club. Mike Harrison, his head of security and a former private investigator, provided more details about the family's daily life. The building is old but well maintained within its limitations. The landlady, Mrs. Maria Gonzalez, speaks very highly of them. Jennifer always prioritizes the rent, even if she sometimes has to pay in installments. The apartment is small but organized. The photos Mike showed revealed a modest but respectable neighborhood. The brick building, the corner pharmacy, the small park where the girls often played. It was a world entirely different from the luxurious environment where Daniel lived. The pharmacist, Mr. Peters, confirms that Jennifer's been buying antibiotics and fever reducers with increasing frequency, Mike went on. The last time, about 2 weeks ago, she couldn't buy all the medication she needed due to lack of money. The medical situation, as revealed by records from the municipal ERE, was worrisome. Jennifer had been admitted 3 times in the past month with symptoms of severe pneumonia. On her last visit, the doctors recommended hospitalization, but she refused because she lacked proper health insurance. She worked extra shifts at a local cafe on weekends, Mike added, at least until she got too sick to continue. The girls stay with a neighbor, Mrs. Patel, during those hours. Throughout the day, every new piece of information helped Daniel better understand the life Jennifer had built. She kept a professional blog showcasing her design work, participated in programming forums under a pseudonym, and occasionally sold digital art on online platforms. The neighborhood knew the family well. The owner of the local grocery store told Mike how the twins always helped organize shelves in exchange for fresh fruit. The building's doorman mentioned how Jennifer always found time to help him with his cell phone issues, even when she was clearly exhausted. The twins' school records were impressive. Emma excelled in science and literature, while Olivia showed a special talent for math and logic. Their teachers frequently commented on Jennifer's dedication to monitoring her daughter's academic progress, attending every meeting and event, even if it meant reorganizing her work schedule. Jennifer had established a meticulous routine to maximize her time and resources. She worked remotely so she could be there when the girls returned from school. She prepared all their meals at home, carefully planning each purchase to take advantage of sales and avoid waste. The girls' clothes, always clean and well cared for, were often found at thrift stores or swapped with other families in the neighborhood. As evening approached, Daniel had a complete picture of Jennifer's and her daughter's lives. It was a story of perseverance, love, and sacrifice. Jennifer had created a decent life for her daughters, keeping them well educated and happy despite limited resources. Pneumonia, however, had disrupted this carefully maintained structure. Unable to work regularly, her finances quickly collapsed. The medical records indicated an antibiotic-resistant infection requiring specialized treatment, the kind of medication well beyond her current financial capabilities. Daniel watched the sun set through his office window, the necklace still on his desk reflecting the last golden rays. Jennifer was sick, struggling to breathe in a tiny apartment, while her daughters desperately tried to help her in the only way they could think of. Night fell over Manhattan, bringing with it a drizzle reminiscent of the previous night. Daniel remained in his office, absorbing every detail he had uncovered. Each piece of information was a puzzle piece, forming the image of the past 10 years, years during which Jennifer had silently proven to be stronger than he had ever imagined. The park, near PS 87, William Sherman's school was almost empty that fall afternoon. Daniel watched from his car as Emma and Olivia left the school, their colorful backpacks contrasting with their simple uniforms. There was something mesmerizing about the way they moved in sync, as if they shared not just genes but thoughts. Gathering his courage, he got out of the car. The girls recognized him immediately, hesitating a moment before approaching. "Mr. Reynolds," Emma greeted, her voice cautious but polite. Olivia stood slightly behind her sister, her watchful eyes studying his every movement. "You can call me Daniel," he replied softly. "I brought something for you." He held out a pharmacy bag. "These are the medicines your mom needs." The pharmacist explained how they should be used. The twins exchanged looks, having one of those silent conversations that seemed so natural to them. Olivia took the package, checking its contents with a maturity beyond her years. "Why are you helping us?" she asked directly, her expression a mix of distrust and curiosity. Daniel thought for a moment. "Because sometimes people need help, and when we can help, we should." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "And because your mother, she was very important to me once." Emma, who had been watching a group of pigeons nearby, turned her attention back to him. "You met her in college, didn't you? What was she like?" The question caught him off guard. He sat down on a nearby bench, and after a brief hesitation, the girls sat beside him, one on each side. "Your mother is the most determined person I've ever met," he began, a gentle smile appearing on his lips. "She always saw the best in people and never gave up on her dreams." "She still is," Olivia interrupted, a touch of pride in her voice. "Even when she's really tired, she always helps us with our homework. And tells us bedtime stories," Emma added. "She makes up a new one every night, even when she has a fever." Daniel felt something tighten in his chest. "What's your favorite story?" The twins perked up visibly at the question. "The one about the girl who became an astronaut," they answered in unison, then giggled at the coincidence. "Mom says we can be anything we want," Emma explained, her eyes gleaming. "I want to be a scientist and discover new planets." "And I want to create computer games," Olivia added. "Mom's teaching me a bit of programming." Daniel watched how their faces lit up when they talked about their dreams, just like Jennifer's used to do. "Do you like school?" "Yes," Emma answered excitedly. "We're studying the solar system in science. Did you know Jupiter has 79 moons?" "And I won last week's chess tournament," Olivia added, a small smile of pride appearing on her face. The conversation flowed naturally after that. The girls alternated between sharing stories from school and asking questions about how their mother had been in college. Daniel discovered that Emma had the same love of books her mother did, while Olivia had inherited his own natural ability with numbers. Time passed unnoticed until the sky began to darken. "Mrs. Patel must be worried," Emma said, referring to the neighbor who watched them while their mother rested. Daniel nodded, standing up. "Can I walk you home?" During the short walk to the building, the girls kept talking, growing more comfortable in his presence. They told him about the neighbor's cat that often visited their window, how they helped Mrs. Patel water her plants, and the drawings they made to cheer up their mum. At the building entrance, Daniel knelt to their eye level. "Can I visit you again tomorrow? Maybe we can do homework together in the park." The girls consulted each other silently before Emma replied, "Yes, you can. But you have to promise to tell us more stories about Mom in college." "I promise," he smiled, feeling an emotion he couldn't quite name. Watching them climb the stairs, Daniel realized something inside him had changed. It wasn't just guilt or responsibility driving him now. It was a genuine connection with these two little people who, unknowingly, carried so much of him within them. Over the following days, they established a routine. Daniel met them after school, always bringing not only the needed medicines but also small surprises, a book about constellations for Emma, a logic game for Olivia, fresh fruit he had accidentally overbought. He learned that Emma bit her lip when she was focused, just like Jennifer used to. Olivia, for all her apparent seriousness, had the same sharp sense of humor he'd had as a child. He discovered how their distinct personalities perfectly complemented each other, Emma dreamy and outgoing, Olivia practical and observant. One particularly pleasant afternoon, While helping Emma with a project on planets and Olivia with math problems, Daniel realized he was no longer merely fulfilling a moral obligation. He was building something precious and fragile, a bond that went beyond the blood they shared. The girls also began opening up more, sharing their worries about their mother's health, their small daily victories, their fears and hopes. Daniel became not just a visitor in their lives, but a safe harbor, someone who truly listened to them. "You know," Emma said one day as they shared a snack in the park, "Mom seems better since she started taking these new medicines." "She even managed to work a bit yesterday," Olivia added, her normally serious face softened by a smile. Daniel felt his heart warm at those words. His actions were making a difference, however simple and discreet. It wasn't just about the medicines or financial support. It was about being present, about showing someone cared. The transformation in his own life was just as profound. The business meetings and billion-dollar mergers that once consumed his thoughts now seemed distant and less important. His world, once measured in profits and losses, was now marked by shy smiles, curious questions, and small discoveries shared together. With each encounter, each conversation, Daniel felt more connected not only to the twins, but also to the part of himself he had lost so long ago. The part Jennifer had always been able to see, even when he couldn't. Daniel stopped in front of the door to apartment 4C, his heart pounding in his chest. The hallway was silent, except for the distant hum of a television in some neighboring apartment. The necklace in his pocket felt like it weighed a ton. He took a deep breath and knocked on the door. Soft footsteps approached from the other side, followed by the sound of a lock turning. The door opened slowly, and there she was. Jennifer looked thinner than he remembered, her pale skin making the freckles he knew so well stand out. Her brown curls were tied up in a messy bun, and dark shadows under her eyes revealed her exhaustion. But she still had those honey-colored eyes that held so much determination. "Daniel," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion and surprise, her eyes instantly filled with tears. "Jennifer," he responded softly, "may I come in?" She nodded, opening the door wider. A coughing fit shook her body as she stepped aside to let him in, and Daniel gently supported her arm. The apartment was quiet. The twins were at school. The afternoon light poured through the living room window, illuminating the photos on the wall he already knew from his investigations. Seeing them now, with Jennifer right there, gave them a new meaning. "You found my little girls," she said in a low voice, sitting down on the small sofa. There was no accusation in her tone, only a deep emotion. Daniel nodded, sitting down next to her. He took the necklace from his pocket and placed it gently on the coffee table. Jennifer looked at it, a sad smile playing on her lips. "They are extraordinary, Jennifer," he said sincerely. "So smart, so special." "They really are, aren't they?" she replied, her eyes shining with pride through her tears. "Emma has this dreamy side, always lost in her books and stars. And Olivia, she's so focused, so driven. Why didn't you keep in touch, Jennifer?" he asked softly. "We were such good friends." She took a deep breath, wiping away a tear. "Life went on, you know. You were building your empire. I was building my family. Then time passed, and it got harder to reconnect." "I'm sorry," Daniel said, his voice heavy with emotion. "I'm sorry I pulled away, that I lost so much time with our friendship." Jennifer surprised him by taking his hand. "You're here now, and seeing how the girls talk about you, how their eyes light up when they mention meeting you at the park. Maybe it's the right moment to rebuild our friendship." "They told you about our meetings?" Daniel asked, surprised. Jennifer smiled, a genuine smile this time. "Of course they did. Emma won't stop talking about the astronomy books, and Olivia, well, she tried to hide her excitement, but I saw her practicing those logic puzzles you gave her over and over." A coughing fit interrupted her, and Daniel quickly handed her the glass of water on the side table. As he watched her drink, he noted how, even sick, there was a serene strength about her. "How are you really doing?" he asked, concern evident in his voice. "Better," she answered. "The medicine you've been sending makes a big difference. Thank you for that, Daniel, for taking care of us." "I want to be around, Jennifer," he said gently. "If you'll let me. Your girls are special, and you've always been a very dear friend to me." Jennifer squeezed his hand lightly. You know what Emma told me yesterday? She finally gets why I always say the stars are magical, because you explained the constellations in a way that made sense to her. What about Olivia? Daniel asked, a smile forming. Parte 3, tradução dos parágrafos 161 a 240. She said you're acceptable as a math teacher. Jennifer laughed softly. Coming from her, that's practically a statement of admiration. They shared a moment of gentle laughter, some of the previous tension dissipating. We'll have a lot to talk about, Jennifer said after a moment. About lost time, about rebuilding our friendship. I have all the time in the world, Daniel replied, and all the patience needed. Jennifer looked at the necklace on the table. They sold this to help me, you know, my last reminder of those simpler times. And it brought me back to you, Daniel added. Maybe it's a sign that some circles need to close for new ones to begin. Jennifer nodded, her eyes meeting his with a mix of hope and emotion. The girls will be home from school in an hour. Would you like to stay for a snack? Emma made cookies yesterday, and Olivia will pretend not to be happy you're here, but she'll sit right next to you anyway. Daniel felt his heart swell at the invitation. There's nothing in the world I'd like more. The late afternoon sun continued streaming through the window, now illuminating not just the photos on the wall, but also two old friends rediscovering their bond and laying the groundwork for a new beginning. A beginning that came with two little girls bringing more light and meaning to their lives. The late afternoon sun was already setting when Daniel took the necklace out of his pocket. The midnight blue sapphire glowed softly, catching the last golden rays entering the small apartment. Your little girls tried to sell this to me, he said quietly, extending the necklace to Jennifer. Jennifer took it with trembling hands, tears welling in her eyes. For a long moment, she simply watched the crescent moon pendant sway gently, the small silver stars reflecting the light. I can't believe they took the necklace, Jennifer murmured, more to herself than to Daniel. But I understand why they did it. It seems to have a very special meaning, Daniel commented, noticing her emotion. Jennifer smiled, wiping away a tear. This necklace has such a beautiful story, and such a sad one at the same time. She paused, her fingers tracing the outline of the pendant. It was a gift from my grandmother. Daniel settled on the sofa, sensing he was about to hear something important. My grandmother Isabella was an extraordinary woman, Jennifer began, her face softening at the memory. She came from Italy when she was young, bringing only a few family jewels and a lot of dreams. This necklace was her most treasured piece, specially made for her by a famous jeweler in Florence. Jennifer held the necklace up to the light, showing its details. See these tiny markings here? They're the artisan's signature. Giuseppe Salvatore was known for hiding his mark in details. Only the most observant would notice. It's an impressive piece of work, Daniel said, admiring the delicate engravings. Grandma's story was that Giuseppe was inspired by an old Italian legend about a princess who loved the stars so much that the moon decided to gift her a piece of the night sky. Jennifer smiled at the recollection. The sapphire was chosen especially because, under certain light, it looks like it holds entire galaxies within it. She turned the pendant, revealing an inscription on the back. It says, "Per chi vede la magia nelle stelle," for the one who sees the magic in the stars. That was Grandma's favorite phrase. Grandma always said the necklace had magical powers, Jennifer went on, her voice tight with emotion. That it protected dreamers and kept the deepest wishes of the heart. When I was little, I'd sit on her lap while she told me fantastic stories about constellations and shooting stars. Daniel noticed how her eyes sparkled when she spoke. And you passed these stories on to your daughters? Yes, but over time, we created our own stories too. Emma and Olivia grew up hearing tales about this necklace. For them, each star on the crescent moon represents a wish or a dream to be fulfilled. Jennifer stood up, walking to a small shelf where there was a photo album. She opened it to a specific page, showing an old photograph. This is my grandmother Isabella, wearing the necklace on my 10th birthday. That's when she promised it would be mine one day. The photo showed an elegant older woman, with kind eyes and a gentle smile, the necklace gleaming around her neck exactly as it did now. She gave me the necklace on my high school graduation day, Jennifer continued, her voice warm with the memory. She said it was time for it to go to someone who still had many dreams ahead. 3 months later, she passed away. Daniel noticed silent tears running down Jennifer's face. Since then, this necklace has been my connection to her, my source of strength. In the hardest moments, when I felt alone or scared, especially after the girls were born, I'd hold it and could almost hear her voice telling me everything would be all right. Jennifer sat back down, adjusting the necklace in her hands with great care. On the nights when the twins were babies and I could barely sleep with worry, I made up stories about the necklace to soothe them. The crescent moon became a magic spaceship, the stars were maps to hidden treasures, and the sapphire was a window to other worlds. They must love those stories, Daniel remarked, enchanted by the richness of this family tradition. They do, Emma especially. She inherited my love of astronomy and her great-grandmother's imagination. Sometimes, on clear nights, we sit by the bedroom window and use the sapphire's reflection to discover new constellations. Olivia pretends she's too grown up for these stories, but she always ends up joining us. Jennifer paused, her expression growing more serious. Over the past few months, when my illness got worse and money grew scarce, I found myself clutching this necklace and asking Grandma Isabella for strength. It was like she was still here, guiding me. "It must have been hard for the girls to see you sick," Daniel commented softly. "They're so strong, Daniel, so brave." Jennifer wiped more tears. "Now I understand why they took the necklace. In their minds, if this object is so special, so magical, then it could help Mom get better." She smiled through her tears. "It's funny how fate works, isn't it? This necklace, and which represents so many generations of strong women in my family, ended up bringing you back into our lives as a friend." Jennifer stood up again, walking to a small decorated chest in the corner of the room. From inside, she took out a faded blue velvet box. "This was the necklace's original box," she explained, opening it carefully. "Grandma also kept some old photos of Florence here, along with letters from Giuseppe Salvatore, explaining the meaning of each detail of the piece." Delicately, she placed the necklace back where it belonged. Each star was positioned to exactly reproduce the constellation Cassiopeia, the queen of the stars. Giuseppe believed this constellation represented feminine strength, the royalty within every woman who dares to dream. The sun had now completely set, but the sapphire in the necklace still shimmered in the twilight, as though it held its own light. Daniel could understand why the twins believed there was magic in that piece. It wasn't just a necklace. It was a legacy of dreams, stories, and love passed down through generations. "You know," Jennifer said, closing the box carefully, "Grandma always said some things in life are meant to stay with us, no matter what happens. I think she was right. This necklace always finds a way to protect our family, even in unexpected ways." Daniel watched Jennifer put the box back into the chest with reverence, finally understanding the true value of that object. It wasn't just a necklace with a rare sapphire or a marvelous piece of craftsmanship. It was a symbol of love, strength, and hope that had guided generations of dreamers. Silence hovered in the room after Jennifer put the necklace away. The fading afternoon light cast long shadows across the small apartment. Daniel studied her for a moment, noticing how she struggled to stifle another coughing fit. Each breath seemed an effort, and the deep circles under her eyes told the story of sleepless nights. "Jennifer," he began softly, "we need to talk about your health." She turned to him, a flicker of worry crossing her face. The fatigue was evident in every line of her expression, in the way her shoulders seemed to carry an invisible weight. "Daniel." Her voice came out hoarse, hesitant. "Please hear me out," he interrupted gently. "You're sick. This pneumonia isn't simple, and the medicine you're on is obviously not enough. I can see how each breath is a struggle, how you fight to stay energized, even for a short conversation." Jennifer sank back down onto the couch, her fingers fidgeting nervously with the hem of her blouse. "I am getting treatment," she protested weakly. "I just need time to save up for the more expensive meds. In a few months, when I get more projects." "How long will that take?" Daniel asked, his voice filled with concern. "How much worse do you have to get before you accept help? How long do your daughters have to keep watching their mother struggle to breathe?" His words hit Jennifer hard. Her eyes filled with tears she fought to hold back. "You don't understand. I've always handled everything alone. I've always managed." "And you did an incredible job," Daniel reassured her, moving to sit beside her on the couch. "But this is different. This illness is consuming you, and you need specialized help." A strong coughing fit shook Jennifer's body. Daniel quickly grabbed the glass of water from the side table, supporting her as she struggled to catch her breath. When she finally calmed down, she was paler still. "I'm going to find the best specialist in the city," Daniel declared firmly. "Someone who can do a complete evaluation, prescribe the right treatment." "We can't wait any longer, Jennifer." "Daniel, you don't have to do this," she protested, though her voice trembled. "Specialists are expensive, and I can't—" "I'm not asking you to pay," he interrupted kindly. "I'm not doing this out of pity or obligation. I'm doing it because I care about you, because those two amazing girls need their mother healthy." Jennifer stood suddenly, walking to the window. The fading sun cast golden shadows on her tense face. "You don't understand. I spent these past years proving I could do everything alone, that I could raise my daughters, keep our dignity." "And you succeeded," Daniel replied. "Look around you, Jennifer. Your daughters are incredible, smart, polite, full of dreams. That's your doing, but now you need to think about them, about letting them keep the mom they love so much." Soft laughter drifted in from the girls' room. Emma and Olivia had just arrived from school, bringing with them the energy and joy that always brightened the apartment. The sound seemed to strike a deep chord in Jennifer. "I'm so scared, Daniel," she confessed in a whisper. "Every day it gets harder to breathe, harder to work. Sometimes I wake up at night gasping for air, and all I can think about is the girls, how they'd cope if—" "We won't let it get to that point," Daniel stated firmly. "Tomorrow I'll start looking for the best pulmonologist in the city, someone who can really figure out what's going on and how to treat it properly." Jennifer sat down again, visibly exhausted. "And then what? When I get better and the bills start piling up, specialized treatments, exams, medications—" "One step at a time," Daniel responded gently. "Right now, the priority is to start the right treatment. We'll figure out the rest together." "Why are you doing this?" Jennifer asked, her eyes locking with his. "Because when I needed it, you were there," he replied honestly. "When I was just the arrogant heir to Reynolds Industries, you showed me what true friendship was. Now it's my turn to repay that." Another fit of coughing interrupted their conversation. When it passed, Jennifer looked even more fragile, more pale. "All right," she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. "But under one condition." "What condition?" "I have to do something in return," she insisted, a flash of her old determination in her eyes. "I can't just accept all of this without contributing in some way. My work as a designer," Daniel smiled, having expected that answer. "Actually, Reynolds Industries urgently needs a redesign for our tech division, and I know a very talented designer who'd be perfect for the job." Jennifer offered the first genuine smile of the night. "Still the negotiator, huh?" "Always the friend," he corrected gently. "And there's one more thing," Jennifer raised an eyebrow, curious. "The girls," Daniel continued carefully, "they're brilliant, Jennifer. They deserve every opportunity. Let me help with their education too." For a moment, Jennifer looked like she was about to protest again. Then the sound of laughter came from the girls' room, and something in her expression changed. "One step at a time," she said at last. "Let's start with the treatment, and then we can talk about everything else." Daniel nodded, satisfied. It was a start. "Tomorrow, I'll begin searching for the specialist," he promised. "We'll get through this together, Jennifer. You're not alone in this fight anymore." The last lights of day said their farewells on the Manhattan skyline, and the crescent moon began to shine in the sky. Daniel observed how its silvery light entered through the window, reminiscent of the sapphire's glow in the necklace that had reconnected their lives. In that moment, as he listened to the twins' laughter and saw the first spark of hope in Jennifer's eyes, Daniel knew he was doing the right thing. Some people enter our lives by chance and end up becoming essential. Jennifer and the twins had become his chosen family, and he would do whatever it took to help them. Dr. Catherine Chen's office was located in one of Manhattan's top medical centers. A Harvard graduate with further training in London and Tokyo, she was known for treating the most complex pneumonia cases. Daniel had spent 3 days researching and calling contacts before finding her, and another 2 days convincing her team to accept a new patient on short notice. The initial exams are worrisome, Dr. Chen explained, studying Jennifer's X-rays. The infection has spread significantly due to lack of proper treatment, but, she added, noticing Jennifer's worried expression, it's still at a treatable stage. The treatment protocol began immediately: next-generation antibiotics, respiratory therapy sessions, and strict follow-up. In the first few weeks, Jennifer had to go to the hospital daily for intravenous medication. Emma and Olivia watched these developments with a mixture of hope and apprehension. Having always seen their mother as strong, it was difficult for them to witness her fragility during treatment, but Daniel was constantly present, establishing a routine that helped them cope. "Are we going to study in the park today?" Emma asked one afternoon, her eyes shining with anticipation. It had become her favorite place to do homework since Daniel started helping them. "Actually," Daniel smiled, "I thought we could take our books to the hospital so we can study and keep your mom company during treatment." The girls loved the idea. Soon, the hospital's infusion room became their improvised study space. Jennifer watched with tears in her eyes as Emma read aloud about constellations, and Olivia worked through math problems, pausing often to show her progress. After a month of intensive treatment, the first results began to show. The coughing significantly decreased, and Jennifer started to catch her breath more easily. Her cheeks, previously pale, were gradually gaining color. "The antibiotics are working better than expected," Dr. Chen noted during a follow-up appointment. "You're responding excellently to the treatment." At home, the changes were just as visible. The apartment, once quiet because of Jennifer's illness, regained its vitality. The twins could hear their mother laugh again, a sound they had almost forgotten in recent months. Jennifer also began to gradually resume working. The redesign project for Reynolds Industries became her priority, and she found unexpected pleasure in each new creation. "It's like my creativity came back along with my health," she told Daniel, showing him the first sketches for the new logo. The twins thrived as their mother recovered. Emma, always a dreamer, began writing a healing diary, a collection of small daily victories she saw in Jennifer. Olivia, more practical, created a spreadsheet to keep track of the medication schedule and doctor appointments. "Mom smiled 12 times today," Emma proudly announced one evening, consulting her diary. "That's 3 times more than last week." "And she didn't need the inhaler even once," Olivia added, meticulously checking her spreadsheet. The impact on their school life was also remarkable. Freed from their constant worry over their mother's health, they could focus better on their studies. Their teachers noted the positive changes in their behavior. "Emma is more engaged in class," her science teacher remarked. "And Olivia? Well, she's always been excellent, but now there's a lightness about her we hadn't seen before." Afternoons in the park became a tradition. Daniel brought books and educational games, turning learning into an adventure. Emma's passion for astronomy grew even stronger when he brought a small telescope. Olivia, on the other hand, was thrilled with the logic puzzles he picked out especially for her. Jennifer watched these interactions with a mix of gratitude and admiration. Seeing her daughters smile so freely, without the weight of worry on their little shoulders, was the best medicine she could receive. "I'll never be able to thank you enough," she told Daniel one afternoon as they watched the girls play in the park. "There's no need to thank me," he answered simply. "Seeing the 3 of you happy and healthy is all that matters." 2 months into her treatment, Dr. Chen had even better news. "The infection is practically under control," she announced, showing Jennifer her new X-rays. "We can start reducing the frequency of your visits." To celebrate the good news, Daniel organized a small picnic in the park. Emma brought her healing diary to read the best highlights, while Olivia made a PowerPoint presentation with colorful graphs showing her mother's progress. "Look at you," Jennifer laughed, hugging her daughters. "My little scientists." The sun set on the Manhattan skyline, painting the sky pink and gold. Daniel watched the scene with a full heart. The transformation wasn't just physical, it was a deep change in their family dynamic, a renewed hope that now filled their lives. Emma and Olivia had become carefree children again, free to dream and grow. Jennifer was recovering not just her health, but also her creativity and zest for life. And Daniel. Daniel had discovered a new definition of family, built not on blood ties, but on daily choices of love and support. It was a peaceful autumn night. The twins were already asleep, and Jennifer and Daniel were on the apartment's small balcony, 2 cups of steaming tea between them. The city lights glowed in the distance, a carpet of lights under the starry sky. "Remember the first time we met in the library?" Jennifer asked softly, a playful smile on her lips. "You looked so lost among those stacks of economics books." Daniel chuckled quietly. "How could I forget? You literally tripped over my books, then insisted on helping me reorganize them, even though I said everything was under control." "Under control?" Jennifer raised an eyebrow. "Danny, you had 3 different books open on the same page, trying to understand monetary theory. You obviously needed help." Hearing her use that old nickname brought a wave of nostalgia. Only Jennifer had called him that in college, and hearing it again after so many years warmed his heart. "You were always good at seeing through people," Daniel admitted, sipping his tea. "While everyone else saw me as the Reynolds heir, you just saw a lost student needing help." Jennifer shifted in her chair, pulling the blanket around her shoulders. Although she was much better, the chilly night air still made her cautious. "You know what I noticed that day? How you color-coded your post-it notes. Blue for questions, yellow for important concepts, pink for review, and green for your explanations," Daniel finished, "because you said green represented growth and learning." They shared another moment of comfortable silence, lost in memories. "Why did we drift apart, Danny?" Jennifer finally asked, her voice tinged with an old sadness. "We were so close, so—" "Life happened," he answered after a moment of reflection. "I was so focused on proving myself to my father, to the company board. I lost myself in that need to be perfect, to never fail." "You started skipping our study sessions," Jennifer recalled. "First it was important meetings, then business dinners. And you kept leaving green post-its on my library desk," Daniel said with a sad smile, "even when I stopped showing up." Jennifer took another sip of her tea, her eyes wandering out over the illuminated city. "You know what I miss most from that time? Our talks about the future. How we'd spend hours planning, dreaming. You wanted to revolutionize graphic design," Daniel recalled. "Create something that blended art and technology in a way no one had done before. And you wanted to be more than just your father's son," Jennifer finished softly. "You wanted to make a difference, to use the company's resources for something bigger." Daniel remained silent for a moment, absorbing her words. "I think we got lost in different ways. I lost myself in the legacy I had to carry. And you?" "I lost myself while finding my own path," she said. "Getting pregnant with the twins changed everything. Suddenly, all those big plans were replaced by more immediate concerns. Where to live, how to pay the bills, how to raise 2 children on my own." "That must have been scary," Daniel commented softly. Jennifer nodded. "It was, but it was also liberating in a way. For the first time, my choices weren't about impressing anyone or proving something. They were about survival, about love." A soft murmur came from the girl's bedroom, Emma talking in her sleep. Jennifer smiled tenderly at the sound. "They're the best thing I've ever done," she said proudly. "Even during the hardest times, I never doubted that." "You did an amazing job with them," Daniel affirmed. "They're intelligent, kind, resilient, just like their mother." Jennifer blushed slightly at the compliment. "Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if we'd kept in touch, if our friendship had survived those years." "I wondered that too," Daniel admitted. "Especially now, seeing how the girls light up when they talk about astronomy or math. It reminds me so much of our old library discussions. Emma has your insatiable curiosity," Jennifer smiled. "And Olivia, well, she inherited your obsession with organization. I caught her the other day organizing her books by color and theme." They both laughed, the sound echoing softly into the night. "You know what's funny?" Jennifer continued. "Through all these years, whenever I faced a really tough challenge, I'd find myself thinking, what would Danny say about this? You had that unique way of turning problems into opportunities. And I, Daniel confessed. Whenever I had to make an important decision, I remembered how you made me question everything, think beyond the obvious. But why? Your favorite question, Jennifer laughed. Still is. Sometimes it drives the girls crazy. But that's what makes them such good critical thinkers, Daniel observed. They don't accept simple answers. They want to understand the why, the how. Just like we did, Jennifer finished softly. Another comfortable silence descended. The city's distant hum the only backdrop. I'm sorry, Daniel finally said, for letting our friendship fade like that, for being so focused on becoming who I thought I needed to be that I forgot who I really was. Jennifer reached out and touched his hand lightly. I'm sorry too, for not fighting harder for our friendship, for letting pride and fear stop me from looking for you when I needed help. We can start over, Daniel suggested. Not like we were before, we're different people now, but maybe we can build something new, something better, something more mature, Jennifer agreed. Built not just on shared memories, but on who we've become. A soft breeze blew, carrying the faint scent of distant rain. Jennifer shivered slightly, and Daniel instinctively tightened the blanket around her shoulders. Some things never change, she said with a smile. You were always protective like this. And you were always stubborn about admitting when you were cold, he teased gently. More quiet laughter, more shared memories. Night advanced, but neither felt any desire to leave that moment. The girls adore you, you know, Jennifer mentioned after a while. Emma said you explain things the way I do, always asking questions that make her think. And Olivia, Daniel asked, curious. Oh, she tries to hide it, but I saw her smile when you brought that new logic game. She keeps all the post-its with your hints in a special little box. Daniel felt his heart warm at the thought. They're truly special, Jen. You've raised two extraordinary kids. And now they have you, Jennifer said gently. A friend who sees them, who understands them, who encourages them to dream. The first sun rays began to appear on the horizon, painting the sky in pink and gold. Jennifer and Daniel watched the show in silence, each lost in their own thoughts. A new day, Jennifer murmured. A new beginning, Daniel added. Somewhere inside the apartment, an alarm began to ring softly. Soon the twins would be up for school. The little bubble of intimacy they'd shared overnight began to dissolve, but something important had been restored. Something precious had been rediscovered. It wasn't just a reconciliation, it was a rebirth. A friendship that, like the rising sun, promised to illuminate new paths and possibilities. De parte 5, tradução dos parágrafos 317 a 487, final. The sun was fully risen now, but neither Daniel nor Jennifer made any move to leave the balcony. The girls' breakfast would take a few more minutes, and this moment felt too precious to interrupt. There's something I never told you, Daniel said softly, breaking the comfortable silence between them. His empty teacup spun nervously between his fingers. Jennifer turned her attention to him, noticing a subtle change in his posture. What is it? Daniel took a deep breath as though gathering courage. Do you remember that graduation party, the one on the very last day of school? Of course, Jennifer said, smiling at the memory. It was an incredible night. Everyone was dancing, celebrating. I don't think I've ever seen that much champagne in one place. I had planned to tell you something that night, he continued, his gaze fixed on the city waking up below. Something I've been carrying with me ever since. Jennifer leaned forward slightly, intrigued by the seriousness in his voice. Jen, you were always more than a friend to me, Daniel confessed, finally meeting her gaze. In our last years of college, I developed feelings for you that went beyond friendship. Jennifer held her breath, surprised by his revelation. That night, at the graduation party, I decided to tell you everything, he continued. I even bought flowers, but then I got that call about my dad being in the hospital, and everything changed. By the time I could return to find you, you'd already left. Danny, Jennifer whispered, unconsciously using his old nickname. I'm not telling you this now to complicate things, he rushed to clarify. Our friendship is far too precious to me, but after we talked about the past, about regrets and choices, I felt I owed you the truth. Jennifer was silent for a moment, processing this. Why didn't you ever say anything earlier? At first, I was afraid of ruining our friendship. Then, as things got complicated with the company and my dad, it always seemed like the timing wasn't right. What about now? Jennifer asked softly. Daniel smiled kindly. Now I want you to know that my support, my presence in your life, and the girls has nothing to do with old feelings or regrets. It's about who we are today and the friendship we're rebuilding. Jennifer let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Thank you for telling me, she said after a moment. That honesty means a lot. There's one more thing I need to say, Daniel went on, his voice becoming more serious. I want to help you and the girls in a more concrete way, not just with medical treatment, but with their future as well. What do you mean? She asked. I want to set up an education fund for Emma and Olivia, he explained. Something that guarantees they can chase their dreams and study wherever they want, without financial limitations. Jennifer felt tears pricking her eyes. Daniel, it's not charity, he interrupted gently. It's an investment in the future of two amazing girls who won my heart, and it's a way to make up for all the years I lost, all the moments I could have been there as a friend. You're already doing so much, Jennifer began, but Daniel interrupted again. Jen, listening to Emma talk about becoming an astronomer, hearing Olivia plan to create her own computer programs, it reminds me of the two of us in college, dreaming big, believing we could change the world. I want to give them the chance to make those dreams come true. A tear slid down Jennifer's cheek. Sometimes I wonder if I deserve all this. Your friendship, your support. You deserve this and so much more, Daniel replied with conviction. You're the strongest person I know. You raised two incredible daughters on your own, built a career and never gave up on your dreams, even when everything seemed impossible. The twins' alarm echoed once more from the other room, reminding them the day was truly beginning. I need to make them breakfast, Jennifer said, wiping her tears. I'll do it, Daniel offered, standing up. You still need to rest. Doctor's orders. Jennifer smiled, watching him head to the kitchen with an air of familiarity. It felt surreal how naturally he fit into their lives, how his presence brought a sense of completeness she hadn't realized she was missing. Danny, she called, making him stop at the door. I also had feelings for you back in college. Daniel turned in surprised, but I guess timing was never on our side, she continued gently. And maybe that was for the best. What we have now, this friendship, this affection, is more precious than any romance could have been. A knowing smile lit up Daniel's face. I completely agree. The sound of doors opening and hurried footsteps indicated Emma and Olivia were awake. Soon, the house would fill with their lively voices, with plans for the day, with the contagious energy only children have. Uncle Danny, Emma's voice called from the kitchen. Are you making pancakes? With chocolate chips, he replied, winking at Jennifer before disappearing into the apartment. Jennifer remained on the balcony for another moment, her heart brimming with emotion. Life had its ways. What could have been a grand college love story had turned into something equally special, a deep friendship, unwavering support, a chosen family. From inside, she could hear the girls' laughter blending with Daniel's voice, the aroma of fresh coffee and pancakes starting to fill the air. In her chest, a certainty blossomed. Sometimes, the universe knows exactly what we need, even if it takes a while to deliver. Rising, Jennifer got ready to join her newfound beloved family. The future, which not long ago seemed scary and uncertain, now shone with possibilities, not because someone had come to solve all her problems, but because she no longer had to face them alone. And maybe, she thought, watching Daniel help Olivia measure the exact amount of chocolate for the pancakes. This kind of love, the love born out of friendship, care, and consistent presence, was the most precious of all. The small living room was covered with school catalogs, application forms, and lists. Emma and Olivia sat on the rug, eagerly flipping through the Dalton school brochures, while Jennifer and Daniel organized the paperwork needed for their transfer. Look, Mom, Emma exclaimed, her eyes shining with excitement. They have their own observatory, and an astronomy club that goes on meteor-watching campouts. And a fully equipped computer lab, Olivia added, failing to conceal her own excitement. They offer advanced programming and robotics classes. Jennifer watched her daughters, smiling with emotion. In recent weeks, ever since the decision to change schools had been made, a new energy had taken hold of them. "We'll need to buy new uniforms," Jennifer remarked, glancing at the list in her hand, "and specific supplies for each subject." "I've already taken care of everything," Daniel said gently. "The uniforms arrive tomorrow for them to try on, and the supplies are all set aside at the stationery store." "Danny," Jennifer began to protest. "It's a gift," he insisted kindly, "to celebrate a new beginning." Emma leaped up and ran to the bookshelf to grab her special notebook, the one where she wrote down all her plans and dreams. "I made a list of all the extracurricular activities I want to join. Can I be in both the science club and the astronomy club?" "Of course you can, sweetheart," Jennifer said with a smile. "As long as you keep your grades up." "I made a spreadsheet too," Olivia said, picking up her tablet. "I organized all possible schedules so we can maximize extracurricular activities without hurting our regular studies." Daniel couldn't help smiling. She was so much like Jennifer in her college days. "And there's more news," he announced, capturing everyone's attention. "Reynolds Industries is launching a new mentorship program for young talents in technology and science. And, well, I happen to know two perfect candidates." The twins' eyes widened. "Does that mean we can visit the company labs?" Emma asked, barely containing her excitement. "And meet the programmers," Olivia added, her usual reserve momentarily forgotten. "All that and more," Daniel confirmed. "You'll have access to state-of-the-art equipment and you can join special projects, but only once you're fully settled into your new school," Jennifer added quickly, giving Daniel a meaningful look. "Of course," he agreed, "one step at a time." The afternoon passed amidst plans and excitement. Jennifer, already much stronger thanks to her treatment, could share her daughter's enthusiasm without tiring so easily. "You know what I'm most excited about," Emma commented during dinner. "We'll get to have lunch with Mom some days, since her Reynolds office is near our new school." It was true. Jennifer would officially begin as the company's design director the following week, with her own office and flexible hours so she could keep up with the girls. "And on the days she has meetings, Uncle Danny said he'd have lunch with us," Olivia added, her expression serious but her eyes shining. "As long as you help me with the newspaper crossword," Daniel teased, making them laugh. Later that evening, after the twins were in bed, Jennifer and Daniel sat on the balcony, their new nightly tradition. "It's really happening, isn't it?" Jennifer murmured, still somewhat in disbelief. "All this change. Are you scared?" Daniel asked softly. "A bit," she admitted. "But it's a good fear, you know, like when you're about to start a big adventure." "They'll do great," Daniel assured her. "They're brilliant, adaptable." "And they have you," Jennifer finished with a smile. "I've never seen Olivia open up to someone the way she has with you. And Emma. I think she's already decided she'll work for Reynolds Industries' Space Research Division when she grows up." Daniel laughed. "She showed me her plans. They include building a lunar base by 2040. "Ambitious like her mom," Jennifer teased. "And determined like you," he added. "They both are. Both. It's amazing to see how they carry your best traits." A comfortable silence lingered for a moment. "Thank you," Jennifer finally said, "not just for the material help, but for bringing this light back into their lives. For a long time, I was afraid that my limitations were stifling their dreams." "You never stifled anything," Daniel gently countered. "On the contrary, you taught them to dream under the toughest circumstances. I'm just giving them a little extra support now." Light footsteps caught their attention. Emma stood at the balcony door, hugging her dream notebook. "Can't sleep, sweetie?" Jennifer asked. "I was thinking—" Emma hesitated. "Can I show you something?" They nodded, and she opened her notebook to a particular page. It was a colorful drawing of 5 people: her, Olivia, Jennifer, Daniel, and Dr. Chen. "This is our family now," she explained shyly. "It's different, but special. Olivia said it was silly to include Dr. Chen, but she saved Mom, so she counts too, right?" Jennifer pulled her daughter into a tight hug, silent tears slipping down her face. Daniel watched the scene, his heart full. "It's perfect, Emma," he said softly. Absolutely perfect. Later, after they finally got Emma back to bed, Jennifer found Olivia awake as well, meticulously organizing her new school supplies. "We need to sleep, kiddo," Jennifer said gently. "Just one more minute?" Olivia asked. "I want to make sure everything is perfect for the first day." Jennifer sat on the edge of her daughter's bed. "Are you nervous?" Olivia hesitated, then nodded slightly. "What if I'm not good enough?" "Hey," Jennifer said, hugging her. "You're more than good enough. And you're not alone in this adventure, remember?" As if on cue, Daniel appeared in the doorway with 2 cups of hot chocolate. "I thought someone might need these," he smiled, handing them to mother and daughter. Olivia's shy smile spoke more than 1,000 words. There in that simple yet cozy bedroom, Jennifer felt a certainty grow in her heart. No matter what the future held, they would face it together. Not as a traditional family, but as a family chosen by the heart, united by love, mutual care, and the determination to build something special. "Come live in the mansion with me." Daniel's proposal hung in the small living room. Jennifer's, who had been organizing some papers at the table, froze, while the twins, who were playing on the rug, looked up with wide eyes. "Daniel," Jennifer began, hesitant. "Hear me out before you say no," he asked, leaning forward in his chair. "First, you'd never have to worry about rent again. You could use that money for other things the girls need. Second, the mansion is much closer to their new school and your new office at the company." Jennifer bit her lip, deep in thought. "But that's a lot, Danny. It's your house." "It's way too big for just me," he finished. "I have 12 bedrooms, Jennifer. 12, and I only use 1. It makes so much more sense to fill that place with life and laughter." "Is there a library?" Emma asked timidly, unable to contain her curiosity. Daniel smiled. "A huge one, floor to ceiling. And there's a perfect spot on the rooftop where we could set up a professional telescope." Emma's eyes sparkled. "And," he continued, looking at Olivia, "there's a fully equipped tech lab in the basement, with the latest programming and robotics equipment." Olivia tried to keep her neutral expression, but Jennifer could see the interest in her eyes. "Besides," Daniel said, turning back to Jennifer, "Doctor, Chen mentioned in the last appointment how crucial a good environment is for your full recovery. The mansion has a filtered air system and gardens where you can walk." Jennifer looked at her daughters, who watched her with barely contained excitement. It was true that their small apartment, though full of precious memories, was becoming cramped for their needs. "Wouldn't it feel weird," she finally asked, "us invading your space like that?" Daniel laughed softly. "Jen, you're already my family. The only weird thing is keeping us apart when there's so much space going unused." A week later, moving day arrived. The Reynolds mansion, with its imposing facade on the Upper East Side, welcomed its new residents. Jennifer, still somewhat dazed, watched as the twins ran through the vast corridors, exploring every corner of their new home. "This room has a bay window," Emma shouted from the second floor. "I can see all the stars from here. And this one has a built-in desk that's perfect for my computer," Olivia's voice echoed from another room. Settling into the new environment happened surprisingly smoothly. Daniel had considered every detail to help them feel at home. In addition to countless books, the library now featured a dedicated workstation for Jennifer, equipped with everything she needed for her design projects. An adjacent art studio was set up for the girls' creative pursuits, flooded with natural light and stocked with all the materials they could want. On the rooftop, as promised, a professional telescope was installed for Emma's delight. Mornings took on a new rhythm. Daniel often prepared breakfast while Jennifer helped the twins get ready. The drive to school, once a rushed chore, became a pleasant time to talk. "Remember, you have that after-school club meeting today," Jennifer reminded them one morning, straightening Olivia's tie. "Uncle Danny's picking us up," Emma chimed in, excited about her astronomy club activities. Jennifer's treatment showed remarkable progress. Dr. Chen noted significant improvements in every checkup, attributing part of Jennifer's recovery to the mansion's environment, better suited for her needs. Nights became especially magical. After dinner, while the twins did their homework in the library, Jennifer and Daniel continued their tradition of chatting on the now enclosed balcony, overlooking the well-tended gardens. The big news came on a crisp fall afternoon. Jennifer emerged from Dr. Chen's office with tears of joy in her eyes. "It's over," she announced to Daniel, who was waiting in the lobby. "The treatment is officially done. I'm cured." The twins, who had been secretly planning a celebration, organized a surprise party in the library. The space was adorned with lights, flowers, and photos documenting Jennifer's journey back to health. "And this," Emma announced, revealing a large covered frame, "is our present." It was a collaborative painting. Emma had painted a starry sky. Olivia created a complex geometric pattern, and together they depicted their family in a unique style, blending realism and abstraction. "We'll hang it in the entryway," Olivia explained, "so everyone knows this is a house of love and healing." Jennifer hugged her daughters, overwhelmed by emotion. Daniel watched the scene with a full heart, marveling at how his life had changed in just a few months. "Thank you," Jennifer said later, when they were alone on the balcony. "For everything. For giving us a home, for giving me a second chance." "You did the same for me," Daniel answered gently. "You gave me a family." The Reynolds mansion, once a symbol of lonely success, had become a true home, not because of its impressive architecture or the value of its furnishings, but because of the love now filling every room, every corner, every shared moment. It was a new beginning for all of them. For Jennifer, who had overcome not just illness but her fear of accepting help. For the twins, who could finally dream without limits. And for Daniel, who discovered that real success wasn't about business conquests, but about the daily smiles of three people who had turned his house into a loving home. The mansion's garden was especially beautiful that spring afternoon. Jennifer watched from her studio window as the twins helped Daniel plant new flowers. There was something different in the air, a subtle change she had noticed for weeks now, ever since she was declared fully recovered. It wasn't just how her heart raced when Daniel smiled, or how she found herself watching him more than she should. It was deeper, a silent feeling growing like the flowers they were now planting together. The way he interacted with the girls, always patient and caring. How he anticipated her needs before she had to ask. How their gazes would meet across a crowded room. Those things stirred emotions she could no longer ignore. "Mom," Emma called from the garden, waving excitedly. "Come see what we planted." Jennifer smiled and headed downstairs. The late afternoon sun gave everything a golden glow, and when Daniel helped her kneel beside the flower bed, the warmth of his hand triggered that familiar electric spark she now recognized as more than just friendship. "They're blue roses," Daniel explained, his eyes meeting hers. "They're as rare as they are special. Some say they represent the impossible becoming possible." The moment was interrupted by Olivia, who came running over with her tablet, eyes shining with excitement. "Look, I was accepted into the advanced computing program." They loved my project on using AI in education. The ensuing celebration was typical of the newly formed family dynamic they had built over the last few months. Margaret, the housekeeper who had become an essential part of their lives, prepared a special dinner with all of Olivia's favorite dishes. Emma gave an impromptu presentation on how her sister's algorithms could be applied to star study. During dinner, Jennifer couldn't help noticing how natural, how right, everything felt. The way Daniel knew exactly how Emma liked her mashed potatoes, how he anticipated when Olivia would ask for more juice, how his hand occasionally found hers under the table, small yet meaningful gestures that made her heart flutter. When the girls finally went to bed after much pleading for just 5 more minutes, Jennifer and Daniel met on their usual balcony. Their nightly ritual had become precious, a moment just for them amid the day's chaos. "Danny," she began, her heart pounding, feeling the time had come to be honest about her feelings. "I need to tell you something." But before she could continue, he gently placed a finger on her lips. "I have something to say too," he smiled, taking a small box from his pocket. The crescent moon and star necklace lay on a cushion of blue velvet, fully restored and even more beautiful than she remembered. "I had it fixed up," Daniel explained gently. "Look closer." Jennifer took the necklace with trembling hands. Around the original sapphire, tiny diamonds formed 2 new constellations, perfectly integrated into the piece. "They're from the dates the girls were born," she whispered, recognizing the patterns. Gemini, and Cassiopeia, Daniel completed. The Queen of the Stars, like Emma always says. I thought it fitting, since you're the queen of their hearts, and of mine, Danny. Jennifer felt the tears forming. Jennifer, he began, emotion thick in his voice. In the last few months, you and the girls have brought more life and joy into this house than I could have ever imagined. What started as friendship grew into something much deeper. He paused, taking her hands in his. Somewhere between nights of studying with the girls, chaotic breakfasts, medical appointments, and our chats here on this balcony, I fell in love with you. Not just for what you mean to the girls, but for who you are. Strong, determined, caring. I love you, he continued, his eyes locked on hers. I love our girls, and I want to make official what we already are at heart, a family. Tears ran freely down Jennifer's face as she answered, I love you too, Danny. I think I always have, even when I didn't realize it. You haven't just given us a home, you gave us hope, a future, love. The wedding took place 3 months later, a small celebration in the mansion gardens. Emma and Olivia, now officially Reynolds, were the flower girls, wearing sky blue dresses that matched the roses they had planted. It's really happening, Emma whispered to Olivia as they straightened their mother's veil. We're officially a family now. Technically, we already were a family, Olivia answered with her usual logic, although her eyes were brimming with tears. This is just making it official. The moon and star necklace gleamed on Jennifer's neck as she walked toward Daniel. The officiant smiled when the twins ran to join the couple before the ceremony was even over, a spontaneous moment that perfectly captured the essence of that family. The following months were filled with joy and achievement. Jennifer, now in full health and overflowing with creative energy, took over as the creative director at Reynolds Industries. Under her leadership, the company launched a series of innovative projects, blending technology and design in revolutionary ways. Emma was accepted into a special astronomy program at the Hayden Planetarium, where her theories on star patterns caught the attention of renowned astronomers. Olivia, taking after her mother in merging technology and creativity, developed her first commercial app, an educational game for children with learning difficulties. One special night, exactly a year after moving into the mansion, the family gathered in the garden for a picnic under the stars. The telescope that was once only Emma's dream now stood ready for another evening of stargazing. Remember when we tried to sell the necklace? Emma asked, lying in her mother's lap as they waited for the sky to darken completely. How could we forget? Olivia replied, tweaking the settings on her new star mapping app. That was the day our lives changed. Jennifer touched the necklace around her neck, feeling the comforting weight of its memories. Sometimes the happiest endings begin in the hardest moments, she reflected. That day when you went out alone to try to help me, I was so scared, so worried, but the universe knew what it was doing, Daniel added, settling down next to her. That necklace wasn't just a piece of jewelry, it was a link of destiny. Dad's getting romantic again, Olivia teased, though she smiled at using the word dad, something that had come naturally a few weeks after the wedding. The Reynolds mansion, once a symbol of lonely success, now bustled with life and love. Hallways that had echoed with solitary footsteps were filled with laughter, music, and the occasional controlled explosion from Emma's science experiments. The library, once a quiet sanctuary, had become a family activity center, with everyone claiming a favorite spot. The necklace, which once stood for desperation and sacrifice, was now a symbol of unity and hope. Jennifer wore it for every special occasion, graduations, awards, birthdays, and the girls loved telling its story to anyone who would listen. At night, after the twins were asleep, Jennifer and Daniel still kept their ritual of meeting on the balcony. Now their words were punctuated by soft kisses and plans for the future, a future that seemed infinitely bright, like the stars Emma loved to study. You know what I love most about our story? Daniel asked one night, gazing at the crescent moon overhead. What? Jennifer asked. That every decision, every tough moment, every choice brought us right where we were meant to be. Together? Jennifer smiled, touching the pendant at her neck, where the girls' constellations shone alongside the original sapphire. In its infinite wisdom, the universe had woven a perfect tapestry of events that united them, not just as a couple, but as a family. In the Reynolds mansion, once home to solitude, the most beautiful love story had blossomed, not just between a man and a woman, but among people who chose to become a family, who turned pain into hope, and who discovered that the greatest treasures aren't made of gold or jewels, but of shared moments, fulfilled dreams, and unconditional love. The moon and star necklace, silent witness to this extraordinary journey, would go on shimmering, holding in its sapphire not just the reflection of the stars, but the light of a family that had finally found its way home, a home built not of bricks and mortar but of love, trust, and the certainty that some bonds are truly written in the stars.